Good evening, this is Guru. Got a tier 10 Shimakaze game. Tears of the Desert Domination going through the matchmaking. Got a Minotaur, Neptune, Cleveland, Chapiev, Gearing, and Asashio rounding out the threats to me. One thing to note right now, I'm not really seeing a consistent heavy radar presence like we were with the US cruiser patch, and I'm already starting to think that some of that's past. Again, it's just my personal experiences. I might get, one, maybe two heavy radar games in like every 5 to 8 games. So just something to think about. I think that the meta's starting to stabilize now, and I think that things are going to start blowing over a bit as things get more back to normal. Getting back to this game, got two DDs in the game. I'm going to head to B cap. Our Lo Yang's going to go to C, and basically what I'm doing right here, my team started further away, and they don't really seem like they're that motivated to get going. So I'm hitting the B key. I'm gonna request support and try to motivate these guys to get them hitting the W key a few more times and get these guys up here where they can be useful. Sometimes it just seems like you gotta kind of motivate guys to do what they need to do, and even then sometimes it still doesn't work, but you gotta try at least. So coming up here on B cap, I'm just driving into this cap. This cap it's a large cap. Large cap meaning that I can actually be in the cap and remain undetected with another destroyer that's on the opposite edge of the cap. What I'm doing right here, I'm just kind of trying to get an RPF bearing. I kind of think that this DD is going to make a play for this island right here, and I'm just watching RPF, see what's going on, and the way it's shifting, it's looking to me like he's going to make a play behind this island. So I'm letting my team know where I think this guy's at. Coming up here myself to get safe in behind the island. There are a couple radar cruisers in the matchmaking, and I briefly get spotted. I think what's going on there, I think we actually proxy detected each other momentarily, and it's the gearing and B cap. So what I want to do with the gearing, I want to get a little bit more range, but having given my radar cruisers that brief little information where he's at, one of the cruisers pops radar and they're starting to shoot up the gearing, and that brief little proxy spotting, it really cost that gearing a lot in the end. I'm not getting anything for this as far as spotting damage or anything like that, but it's getting rid of one of my primary competitors. And I mean, he's already crippled to the extent that I could pick a fight with him at any moment and win. But what I'm more interested in doing, our Des Moines is actually in the cap. I'm trying to get an angle on this gearing, see if I can't finish him off. And when I see the smoke clouds behind the island, I know that he's just smoked up. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and shift my attention to this big push up here by the enemy. This is where Shimakaze shines, is getting in on the flank of a major push and getting some torps out. Now, gonna stop it right here, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about Shimakaze why it's better than Yagumo. There's a lot of discrepancy with the torpedo reload boats that you know they're better than Shimakaze. And the reason why I feel that it's not is you have a better baseline for uh, using your torps in a more flexible manner. And what I mean is, like what I'm going to do up here, I'm going to drop torps on this Republic. I see the enemy Neptune smoking up, and I'm just going to drop torps here. If I was a Yagumo, I would have had to pop torpedo reload to do that, and yeah, I would have been able to drop a little more torps, but that cooldown on the torpedo reload, I'm gonna have to wait a very long time before I can do that sort of drop again. Whereas Shimakaze, you know, close to 90 seconds, I'm able to split my torps up like that again and torp multiple ships. So, quick taking a look at my torps. They're looking semi-good. I see torps in the water up here. I want to make sure that I get these things dodged. And, you know, the torp hits start coming in. 2 on the Republic, 2 on the Neptune, and I think 1 on the Montana. So, you know, that one drop netted me 80k. Coming back in here, I see my friendly cruisers. They've been doing work on this gearing. They're getting shot at, so I'm just going to drop a smoke screen in here. Now, this is a little thing that I do with randoms when I'm smoking them up. I tend to give them a little love tap just to let them know I'm assuming that they're going to be scoped in, and by bumping into them...
Battery low.
Why, thank you. Gives them a little identifier that, hey, something's going on, and gets them to look, and that's when they see that it's smoked up. And if I get a chance where I look back, yeah, me doing that kept that Minotaur in the smoke. That guy wasn't really paying attention to me smoking, and that little nudge not only helped him slow down enough, but also let him know, hey, I need to slow down because I've got smoke here. So he's happy as a clam in smoke, shooting away, and I'm circling back, just trying to spot what I can, and try to let him get the most amount of use out of that smoke. Now my plan is I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to try to harass this push again. I know there's a Neptune up in here, and I'm just going to come up to this island and just try to drop some torps off and get a good crossfire. And the Neptune pops up, and he's not really in an angle that I like, where I can drop torps on him. So just going to kind of cycle through targets and drop a pattern out for anything pushing along here. Again, this Neptune, I expect him to kind of push into the island where I'm at. I do spot the Chapiev. Now, Chapiev, if this guy had radar, as soon as he's detected, he could pop it and utilize his radar. So, just something to consider with that particular boat. You know, he could actually be doing a decent amount of damage to me, especially if the rest of the enemy team starts shooting at me. The Neptune, not so much, because I would just angle directly away from the Neptune and bounce almost everything he's got. Really, the British cruisers, if you can angle either at them or away from them, they're very little threat to a destroyer. So right now I am just keeping predominantly the Zhao and the Neptune spotted, and I'm headed back to this Minotaur. I've got smoke ready, and I'm just going to pop it early, and I'm just going to make a big J right here, where I'm you know, this leg of the J is for the Minotaur to use. Now I'm hooking out because I want to get beyond the edge of my smoke where I can start spotting these guys again. And you can see it's working. They're trying to blind shoot my Minotaur, and it's just, they're not getting it. So what I'm doing, I'm worried this Zow's gonna try to rush into hydro range or within his smoke firing range. So I'm gonna drop some torps off that cut that off. And, you know, for some reason this Zow, instead of rushing him, he turns out, which actually opens him up to a lot of damage. But at this stage, I gotta start worrying about me. I've got a Minotaur, it's under 6.5 kilometers. I've got a Zow under 7 kilometers, and I basically need to kind of thread the needle here. I'm gonna just dance right by this island and just try to get safe. And this is where Shimakaze is better, definitely better than Yagumo or Kagero or any of the other Japanese destroyers because of her speed. I'm tooling along at, you know, 44 knots, and you know that enables me to make plays like this. Whereas if I was in one of the other slower torpedo reload boats, I could not do that kind of spotting run. I would have to play much safer back in here. And, you know, I'd be a little more limited in what I could do up here as far as dropping torps and that kind of thing. Right here, what I'm doing, I'm trying to keep this Zow from flipping the cap. And, you know, initially I had some teammates that were shooting him and doing it, and just wasn't working. So, going ahead and just before I drop off, I take a couple shots at the guy, and the Zow's still trying to cap it. I still don't want him to, and you know, I'm gonna fully reset him right there, and I'm just using this corner of the island as cover to keep safe. Again, just drop a set of torps off. If the guy tries to rush me dumb, he's gonna take a bunch of damage. It's little things like that, you know, I still have 2 sets of torps to use anywhere. You know, most likely with the torpedo reload boats, I would either have 1 rack of torps, or I would be trying to blow that consumable for a situation where I'm probably not gonna need torps, and I could just let it reload normally. But I'd have to blow both racks of torps to get a good enough pattern for a cruiser that's pushing me bow on. Right now, I'm just trying to finish this Zow. I'm gonna take some damage in the process. I know this game's most likely won. I'm willing to trade the HP to try to get this guy off the table. And with my engine knocked out, I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't drift like that. It happens. The reason why I was holding the repair, it's a Zow, and you get some funny RNG sometimes when that boat shoots at you. And what I wanted to avoid was, you know, that just kind of dumb salvo where he uses his front 2 guns and he gets, you know, multiple fires on my boat after I've already, you know, blown my repair. And, you know, that was just me trying to play a little cautious, and, you know, it's pretty much a wash. Wasting the repair for a little bit of damage. The flip side is, if he would have got lucky and got multiple fires, you know, that'd eat up a chunk of my HP. And, you know, for a Zal that low, wasn't willing to risk it. So, at this point, the game's pretty much over. We've got 2 enemy ships left. My plan is I expect this Montana to come in here to B-cap, and I just want to come up here, get some torps off, and literally at this point, I know that the game's won. There's really nothing that these guys can do to win the game. This Chapiev, I don't know what this guy's been doing. He's just been like driving around in circles in A-cap. He might be a bot, I don't know. But I know that he's not going to carry this game. So I'm just gonna, deal with this Montana as aggressively as I can. I'm gonna come in here, torp him, and then just start shooting. And one of the things to also consider when a DD's shooting out in the open like that, particularly if you're healthy, you're taking damage. You're basically tanking for the team like that. A destroyer can and should do that. I do have some games where I've done that kind of thing before. I just haven't made that replay. But if you've got like a low health cruiser or something like that that's in a fight with a battleship or something like that, battleships, they really don't like destroyers. So a lot of times if you open up on them, they're going to shoot you rather than the cruiser. And you can, like pretty much act like what I'm doing right here. This guy isn't shooting our Des Moines, which he could wreck the Des Moines, whereas me, I can tank two saw excuse me, two broadsides from him. And even at my HP when I started this, and be all right. That's 2 broadsides where he probably could have sank our Des Moines in that period of time with overmatch and everything else. But by drawing his attention, I potentially kept a friendly ship on the board. So something to consider about when you're using your HP. You can use your HP to protect your friends and tank for them. Maybe I'll get a video of something like that in the near future. It's more common in clan battles or something like that, but you still do it in random battles as well. I mean, there was an element to that beyond just me being greedy for a little bit of extra damage. So figured I'd talk about that a little bit, but really this game wanted to talk about a little bit of why I feel the destroyers with triple launchers, they still have an edge on these torpedo reload boats. The Fubuki and Akatsuki, they're a little more wishy-washy because they've only got 3 torp spreads, and the 3 torp spreads, they're not as they don't have as much utility as the 5 torp spread. You can't cover the same amount of territory that you can with a 5 torp spread, and so there's a little less utility there. But the flip side to it is it being a triple launcher, it reloads even quicker, so you can still cycle through there. And I mean, if you get within 8 kilometers, you can get scary close on making those shots count. So they both have their place. The torpedo reload boats, I prefer to play them with torpedo reload instead of smoke, unless I'm in ranked or some sort of competitive environment. For random battles, the extra torpedo reloads are perfect. because you typically have another couple destroyers that can provide smoke and that sort of utility to the team, and you can just focus 100% on spotting and uh, maintaining excellent torpedo positions. Whereas destroyers with smoke, you're going to split your attention between getting the good torp angles as well as providing that vision denial to the enemy by smoking up your allies. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys found something, something interesting about, the discussion between torpedo reload and the triple launchers. Um, Leave a comment below. I'd love to have a conversation about it. And I hope you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you later.